Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar called Modernize Your Business with Excel-based reporting and automations featuring Velixo. My name is Mara Kadeemer, a marketing coordinator here at Action Associates. Just some quick housekeeping item. Today's webinar will be recorded, so you are muted, and we will share the link with you after the recording has finished. During the presentation, please use the Q&A feature, as that's how you're going to ask Jeremy questions, as well as if you were to have any tech issues, I will try my best to help you out during the webinar. We're going to get to a Q&A session at the end, so make sure that we have that. Also, we provided a post-webinar survey, which is already available in your webinar console. Please fill that out, as your feedback is important to us. Let me introduce you to our presenter today, Jeremy Myers. He is a channel sales manager at Velixo. I'm going to let him give you a little bit better of an introduction of himself, and then we can get to the content you're here for. So go ahead and take it over, Jeremy.
Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Again, my name is Jeremy, and I am with Velixo. To give you kind of an idea of my background, I have about 15 plus years in just reporting alone. So that's working with SAP, Infor, Microsoft, just to name a few, and connecting with all sorts of different ERPs. But really, what we're doing today is we want to be able to provide you with an overview of Velixo and provide a demo of some of the key features and functionality. But most importantly, we want to be able to understand kind of like how it can relate to your current and future reporting needs. So let's go into our first slide. I know we all love to look at slides, but we're going to go through a couple here just to get you an overview of Velixo. So to get started, there's three things you need to know about Velixo. So number one, we are not taking away your Excel. We are enhancing it. You're able to utilize all of the data that you do have within Acumatica. And the third point is that you're able to push data back into Acumatica, forecasting, or what if scenarios. So this could include budgets. This could also include projects. We also have something called the generic write back. So that would give you the ability to kind of customize your own import scenarios. So within what we're going to do for the demo, we're going to include building an ad hoc kind of trial balance. We're going to do a sample, show you some sample reports, and also a dashboarding example that would definitely be related to construction specifically. Again, most of these are for visualization so that you can get an understanding of how you can leverage them. So a little bit more about it. In terms of the financial end of things, it is GL. It's not just GL, it's AR, it's AP. You also have the ability to kind of go in and have inventory. You can have generic inquiries, so those GIs. I'll show you how to do that as well. You also have the ability to do, say, like sales commission reports as well. You also can do report distribution. I'm not going to show that today just because we are kind of short on time. But just think of it this way: you can take your reports, you can distribute them internally, externally. You can do it in whatever format you like. So maybe you want to have it just as plain Excel. You may want to have Excel with Velixo within there. You may just have a PDF. You may just have a screenshot. You're also able to be very specific in terms of how you send out those reports. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have 10 managers. You want to have them have a specific report that only caters to what they're responsible for, say for a particular product line, or maybe for a specific region. You can absolutely do that. So how does our user model work? Well, it's unlimited, just like Acumatica, so that makes it nice and simple. From an IT perspective, again, we are an Excel add-in, so really you're only going to be spending about 30 to 60 seconds to download Velixo, and then you're good to go. In terms of security, security is all handled by Acumatica. So whatever's in your Acumatica, that will be mirrored within Velixo. So you'll have the same access and permissions there. So again, you don't want a sales guy like me going in and probably pushing back that idea. So getting to kind of the whys of why Velixo might be a good fit for you, really, I can go into all the pains that we're kind of listing here, but I want to kind of briefly cover over kind of the main reason why you may want to utilize us. So when we're looking at Velixo, you're really looking at kind of, how do you kind of get some time back in your day? Because maybe you're just kind of fiddling around with reports all the time. You're always like double checking them, making sure that they're correct. We want to kind of eliminate that. You want to be kind of more secure with your reports. You also want to be able to create easy to use and flexible reports that can kind of be used from the top all the way down to the bottom within your organization. So let's kind of look at that. So when we have kind of that manual entry, we really want to eliminate all of that just by kind of having these library reports. So you have these canned reports that you can kind of utilize where you kind of recycle and reuse them as you see fit. You can also put in things like drop-down menus. This also makes it easier for people to select it, different parameters when they actually receive that report. So they can kind of play around with them and also prevent a lot of errors, as we call it. Again, you can also distribute those reports as you see fit. In terms of the actual data itself, we really want to make sure that it's that one single source of the truth. So that's accomplished with the API that was created to have that connection between Acumatica and Velixo. So by having that single source of the truth, instead of having kind of Excel and those kind of siloed data that we talk about, it's really that you're getting Excel that has accountability. All right. So again, we mentioned the forecasting abilities. You can, of course, do all sorts of consolidation. So again, you could have your companies, your branches, your department you want to do. You can report off of that. Again, it's all live and refreshable data. Now, from a perspective of like hiring an additional person to actually create these reports, you probably won't need to do that because they are non-IT centric. So what I mean by that is that if you're already proficient in Excel, a lot of those skills, of course, are going to be transferable within Velixo. So to give you an idea of how we've kind of structured things to make it more of a win-win scenario, we have kind of two buckets. We have kind of the self-serve bucket. We also have kind of a hand-holding bucket, as I called it. So the self-serve bucket, of course, exactly how it sounds. We have tons of resources that are available. In fact, at the end of this, I will be providing a nice little goodie bag, as you want to call it, which has a ton of samples, templates, just examples for you to kind of get going. Now, that being said, we also have over 100 videos that are on our YouTube channel as well. So then when we shift over to kind of that hand-holding bucket, as I call it, that's more of, hey, we've got training available if you do need that. We also have the ability to help you out in terms of the initial reports that you may need or later on. So typically clients will have kind of specific reports that are kind of near and dear to their heart. They want to be able to take those, maybe they're already built in Excel, and then we can actually transfer those over, put in Velixo functions in them, so then they're running less manual than you normally would encounter. The last thing that's part that kind of is the glue holding all those buckets together is support. So we do have support as well that's there to help you out. But again, these are just some of the things I just bring up. Just want to be able to kind of point you maybe in the right direction of maybe where we can help you out. So again, this is just covering what I've just pretty much talked. And then these are some of the happy customers that we do have. We do have about 2,000 at this point. As you can see, Acumatica is listed here. From here, you'll be able to go in, well, just to give you an idea, when it comes to updates, patches, things of the sort, we're always up to date with what Acumatica is doing. So we are industry agnostic, just so you know. And then to give you an idea of scale, I always use KFC as an example. It's maybe because I just like fried chicken, but it's 150 locations and 50 tenants. So if you do have multiple tenants, you're able to leverage that within our environment. So if you have, say, sandbox environments, things of the sort. Okay, so let's get into the demo. We're going to start off with a simple trial balance. It'll take about 5 to 10 minutes to build. So like I said, what I'll start off with first and foremost is just to show you what you're getting with Velixo in terms of the ribbon within Excel. So again, we are in Excel. Nothing's changed. So what you're able to do is you can use this refresh all. So you've got the ability to do a full refresh. You can do a smart refresh. The smart refresh is really a little bit different in the sense that you're only going to be refreshing information like data that you've had since you've last logged in terms of changes. So this is something you may want to leverage at, say, the end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the year, just when you're kind of have a large amounts of data that you're churning. Again, we've got the drill down. I'll show you how that all works. It's nice because it doesn't just drill down into kind of one layer. It'll go all the way into Acumatica. So again, you can kind of find that needle in the haystack. From there, we've got that distribution. We aren't going to cover that today just due to time constraints. But then again, we can go in here with the write backs. You have all these 4 different flavors that are within here. The most unique one, again, is that generic write back. The generic write back enables you to create your own unique scenarios in order to push things back. So maybe you're using that for your price list. Maybe you're using that for sales orders, purchase orders, anything that you want to do. You can push that back to Acumatica. We've got all these tools as well. We're going to cover those. And again, like I said, we've got all that support here that's kind of helping you along the way so that you can kind of do things on your own and find those resources that you do need. So we've got the simple trial balance. I've got the code name and balance. You can see I've already dropped in my chart of accounts. I did that with this insert chart of accounts tool over here. From here, you can also see that I've got this expand account range. That's the first function that you are seeing of Velixo. Again, if I want to, I can just refresh this right away. It's just going to populate, drop that all down, see how quick that is in terms of that refresh. Again, I'm going to go in here for this account name. I'm going to put demo. Oops, if I can spell. And you'll notice below you've got kind of a coach beneath you. It's providing you with the syntax and then some suggestions of maybe what you want to put within there. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. As you can see now, I've got that account names within there. I'm going to expand this out because what I want to do is put in some filters. Again, this is a raw report, so we're just typing them in. You can, of course, do drop-down menus, which I always suggest just because it keeps things nice and clean and also prevents a lot of errors in terms of what you're picking out for parameters. So we've got the ledger, we've got the sub account, we've got the financial period. Again, you could do companies, divisions, departments, anything that you want to have in terms of those parameters. Again, for the ledger, I'm going to start off with actual. Sub account is, we're just going to leave that blank for now. We'll do the financial period. We'll do 12/2020. And again, and when we get into the balance, I can easily just type this in and put that function. What we're going to do is kind of the classic way of doing things. That's where you use insert function. So again, what we're doing here is you're also seeing that you've got all these new categories with Velixo. So we're going to use the GL. We're going to use account ending balance. Don't worry too much about what that means just yet. I'm going to go ahead and put my function arguments in there. Of course, we're connecting to demo. I've got my C1 here. We're going to do some lockdown here of these particular accounts. We're going to go in here. We're going to drop in this sub account too. And we've got one more left. And as you can see, I've now got all this information. I've done this a million times, so I know this is correct. I can just click OK if I like, but I'm going to click on this help on this function. The reason why I'm doing this is just want to be able to showcase to you kind of what we have available for you for help. So we actually have 2 websites. One is Velixo.com, which is just a traditional website. But then we also have this one that's just specifically for the knowledge-based forms and to submit a ticket. Of course, this is going to be part of that goodie bag that I did talk about earlier. Again, for all of the functions, and that's 90 plus of them, we have all those types of information for you. So for the account ending balance, if you do not know what this is, it's pretty straightforward, but we will provide you with a description. We'll provide you with parameters and syntax, all listed here. Again, we've got multiple examples within here because we want to be able to empower the finance team to be able to do this themselves. Again, we have the 100 videos as well. We've also got support to assist you as well. So we're going to push OK here. We now drop that in. Now, we're going to clean this up a little bit. We're just going to make this a dollar amount. We're going to get that in. Now, here's kind of the nice thing about Velixo. It's very easy to manipulate this very quickly. So I've got the financial period. Maybe I don't want this financial period. Maybe I want to go for November 2019. Just going to automatically refresh super quick. So then I can actually go within here. I can just copy this and drop this in as well. Now we've got the exact same thing, which really doesn't do you much. So we want to change this to 1220. That's what we were doing previously. So now we got a comparison. So just as easy for you to go in and say, well, you're going to put a variance in there. That's very common to do so. Again, I'm going to put that within there, have that with the balance, drop that in, and then I can just drop that in for the rest of the column. Super easy to do. Now, when you look at this, you're probably thinking, okay, great, Jeremy, we've got actual and actual, but maybe I want to look at budgets. So you can put in budgets. You can have multiple budgets as well. Drop that in. Again, it's just going to automatically refresh. Now, depending upon what your style is for how you build out your reports, because you can see there's quite a few zeros within here, you will so ribbon, and you can find that you have hide zeros for rows and columns. So you have that option as well. Now, one thing that I didn't show within here is that it's easy to be able to, instead of having these codes, you can match them up and have multiples within there. So maybe you want to have 1000, 1020, and 1050. You can just add those together. You can have those together as a list. You could also have it as a range if you wanted. So you can easily just do that with a colon. So if you wanted to do 10500, you could do that as well. And again, mix and match as you see fit. If you want to do wildcards, you could have one because you've got the ones here for the code. You could have two as well. Up to you, but I'm just using one for right now. Then I'll put in those 4 question marks for my wildcards. Take out a particular code, which is 10200. I could do that with a minus sign. Just giving you some options. Again, mix and match as you see fit. Again, this is a raw report. I highly suggest when you get to kind of finishing off your report, again, it makes sense to have those drop-down menus there if necessary. Okay, so let's get into the actual sample reports that we do have available. Again, these are ones, as you can see, they're pre-built. So they're there for a visualization to get you kind of started. But again, you can also use this as a starting point for building your first report out. Okay, so in here, I'm going to run through these. Got this P&L here. Here's a P&L with a trailing 12 months. Income statement. Again, you're going to leverage the same data visualization that you would normally do within Excel within Velixo. Again, you've got a cash flow statement within here. You've got a nice little trial balance. Again, another example to what I just showed you. You've got the ability to have that budget right back as well. And again, you can see that this is to be reflective of what you have within your budget information in Acumatica. I'm just using this as an example with my demo data. Again, we are going to write that back to do forecasting and what if scenarios. I will actually show you this just so you can have an idea of what the distribution lists look like. When you start off with these distribution lists, much like many of the lists that you can leverage within Velixo, you're always going to have a nice little template here within here. Is available within here. And again, you can use quite easily. So you have the ability to go in and say, these are for day to day, these are for week to week, bi-weekly, monthly, annual, quarterly, what have you. And again, you are able to select specific rows if you want, as opposed to just distributing to the entire worksheet. So you have a lot of options there. Going back to that distribution list, again, you have the ability to decide, how you want to send that out. You also have all the different formats. Like I said, you could have it just plain Excel with Velixo taken out or with Velixo in, PDFs, what have you. Again, this could be also with your local drive cloud environment with, say, SharePoint. But this is the key here. And this is where it can really help with some of the time that you spend sending out reports. You can be very specific. So as you can see here, this is a branch selection. I can select whatever I like. So in this case, this is related to the P&L that I'm going to show you in a second. But you actually can be specific. So let's say you have a manager and they are, they have a specific product line or a specific region that they're responsible for. You can always be specific in terms of that report being sent out instead of sending the entire report out. They're getting exactly what they need to read. And you could always send that as a PDF as well, so they can't change anything up. So lots of options for you from a distribution point of view. When we go back into this P&L, which we're going to dig into now, again, we've got a drop-down menu here. Again, very easy for me to select whatever I like. You can also notice that I've got service east and west. We can also cluster those together. I can always just click on, say, service east. It's just going to refresh automatically, and you're ready to go. Again, I'm going to put this back to consolidated. Again, within here, you can see I can do unposted transactions if I like. You do have that option. Now, if I wanted to, say, do the drill down, you absolutely can do it just by picking on whatever cell you like. Click on whatever cell you like. Now, I'm going to click on this one, the total operating expenses, just because there's a little bit more meat on the bone with this one. And then all I have to do is go into drill down. So there's no entry of any information. You just click on drill down. That's it. Once you do that, it's going to do that first layer. That's what I talked about before. And that's great. I mean, I can go in here, I can see got a lot of information. I want to focus in on this 20173. So that's a debit, it's in travel, it's for service east. I can then go in, click on view transaction. So what is that going to do exactly? Well, again, it's going to bring up my login for Acumatica. So when I do that, I go in, I drag that down, and make it full screen. I'm just going to enter my credentials. Okay. So once I do that, I'm signed in. Now, it's going to now pull up the details, whether it's from the GL, the AR, the AP. And as you can see, it's from my AP. It's one night at the Hilton. You can see it's that 20173. You've got a reference number within there. You can see the branch. So this is a great example of just, making the sales team accountable maybe for an expense. So I can then go in, did they actually include that receipt? And they did. So you've now got that information. You can then move from there. So that's just the drill down in a nutshell, but really giving you a lot of power in terms of how you can find information, not just within Excel, but also within, of course, Acumatica. So if I go in here, you also notice I can hit this for cell. This will also go in back into my cell. And now you can see it's moved up from that total operating expense. It is 202, but that's because they're rounding it up from 201. And that's that travel. Again, I can drill down into that further if I want to. So again, that's the drill down tool. From there, really what I wanted to show next is how you can leverage the generic inquiries. So again, that whole idea of the GIs is that you've got all this information, and it's a lot of information, and you're wanting to be able to filter it down to a more manageable piece. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back into Acumatica. I'm going to go into my payables. I'm going to go into my bills and adjustment. Now I'm going to go in, going to look at customization. I'm going to edit my generic inquiry. Again, I had about 200 plus pages that are available. So the goal here is we don't want you to be able to do any programming whatsoever or any type of SQL queries. All we're doing is we're just taking this and we're copying it. That's it. So all I'm going to do now, go back into my Excel. It's the one we were just looking at now. I'm going to go click on here. I'm going to go within here. I'm going to put GI. So you have 4 different choices for your GIs. I'm going to go in and just put my connection, as you know, demo. I'm then going to just drop in that AP bills and adjustment. When I do so and hit enter, this is now going to pull up the entire list of all those bills and adjustments. So let's think of it this way. This could pull up all of your information. So maybe you're looking for information on SKUs. Maybe it's your products. Maybe it's your vendors. But again, you could use this by country. You can get very specific. Maybe from a construction point of view, you're looking for all of the equipment they have and when the leases are coming up. Then you can kind of filter that down based on what they are exactly, from bulldozers to trucks to what have you. So if I go into here now, I've got all this information. How do I make this more manageable is the best way to put it. So I go in here, I just see that I've got the syntax. I've got the filter. I'm going to put a placeholder in there right now. Now, all I'm doing right here is I am just selecting what I want to leverage in terms of the columns. Okay, that's it. Now, you may be different. I'm doing my vendor status and currency. You could do your SKUs, you could do countries, whatever you want to do, you can have that. So now I've got this more manageable list. Well, I'm going to go up here. I'm going to do some filters within here. So I'm going to put vendor. I'm going to put transit. I'm going to go down. I'm going to put status. I'm going to put open. So again, that's a filter. We'll put drop-down menus there later if need be. Now, what we want to do is we want to create that GI. So this is what's doing all the heavy lifting, right? And again, all we're doing is putting that in there. And then what am I doing now? Well, I'm just hitting those filters that are up in the top left-hand corner. Hit enter. And now what do we need to do? Well, we actually have to go into that original GI function. We need to go into that placeholder, and then we just hit this. Now we've got that GI filter within there. Hit enter. Now we've created this. So now we've got this nice way to actually filter out the entire list that we do have. I can easily go up here. I can change this to not going to really give you much, but I'm going to change this to closed. And then now I have more information I can utilize in data. Now, you can always stack and pack these as you see fit. Again, add as many filters as you need to get the job done. But again, a very easy way for you to do things without having to do like SQL queries, any type of programming, but being able to take all those lists that you may have and make them more manageable. Okay, so from here, let's get out of this. I'm going to go into, we're going to go back to that original one that we were looking at. This is the example report. So with this, I'm going to get into this write backs. I'm going to show a couple of them right now. Now, the first one I'm going to show is the journal transaction. Now, the only reason why I'm showing you this is I just want to show you, again, another template. So what is the point of having these write backs? Well, it's here because you can, again, create templates, which create less errors. It also could, help to delegate work, because you could have other people fill this information out, but they don't have the access or permission rights maybe to push this data back so that you can then review it before you do so. We can also get into this later on where you may have examples of, let's say, maybe it's a price list or suppliers or vendors, information that maybe they need to put in, and then you can review it and then push that back into Acumatica. So again, hopefully saving you time. So let's go back to that budget write back example. Again, you may have, periods 12, you may have 15, you may have by months. It's all up to you. Biggest thing I want you to see right here is that the write back status is pending. Okay. So within here, I've got my COGS. It's at 21 million, okay, or 22 million. So I'm going to change this to, let's get crazy. It's 76%. We love inflation. So I'm going to hit return. You're going to see the forecast below here. That's going to change. So that's now jumped up. So we've done all of this. Now I've got these parameters within here. Don't worry about those for right now. The key here is the release. So I've got yes or no. No means that it's going to write it back, but it's not going to actually go into Acumatica to do so. So you always have the ability to review it before you actually push it back. But let's go in and see what that looks like. So I can actually go ahead and perform that write back. Of course, you can do the entire worksheet, or you can do it by selected cells. It's going to be 15 in total. And once this is complete, you're then going to go back into Acumatica. Okay, there we go. And if we go in here, We'll go right here. We're going to go into budget. We're going to go into release budget. From here, you can see we've got that 37 now. We got 37 million. So it's gone up a lot. So all we have to do now is release all. Again, you're going to have kind of you're always going to be essentially double protected in a sense. You've got Acumatica, it's making sure that it's been processed. You've got any errors or warnings, but you can also go back within your Excel and you also know that all those lines have been uploaded. Again, you can be specific in terms of which lines you want to do. So we've done that. Now we've actually got that forecasted. Now the one that is kind of the big variable is this one, and that is that generic write back. So again, this gives you the opportunity to actually write back any type of import scenario that you want. So I can't possibly cover all of yours, but to give you some ideas is you could have bills of materials, you could have vendors, sales price, bills and adjustment. You could have POs, sales orders. There's just so much that you can do. You can bring in customer lists as well. It's really up to you. But when I go in here, let's just say I go into stock items. I can't remember what this one looks like, but we're just going to click on it. And again, you can see you're getting the specific things that you would require in terms of when you would have this filled out. So this is everything that I've stated. These are just our pre-canned ones. Again, the beauty of this is that you could also send this externally if you want it. They could fill it out. They can't write it back, but then you've now got that information. And again, think of this as the most vanilla way that you can showcase this write back tool. You can always make this so it's got your branding within it. And I'm just showing this as an example. You could have your branding there. You could just have this box where you're saying this is where you can put in information that could write back. Because again, you're trying to delegate as much work as you possibly can. And again, locking down this area, that's just Excel, right? That's what you would be doing there. But again, you're getting that backup in the sense that they won't be able to write anything back because of course, Acumatica is controlling those access and permissions. So going back into this, we're gonna get out of this for now. We're gonna go into this projects one. So within here, this is just a kind of an example of maybe how you want to represent your data when you have a bunch of projects that you're working on. So we just, of course, fictional data. This is a project dashboard. So you can see there's 142 projects. Again, you can have slicing and dicing within here. You can see, again, you've got that visibility of what you need to have top of mind, say early in the morning, when you're starting the day, you can see what's going on. But the underlying portion of this is going to be all Velixo. So when you say go into the portfolio, again, you could have your managers here. You could also have maybe different regions or different states that you have. And then you can associate those different managers with those as well. It's very easy to kind of do all of that if you need to. But again, you are able to see and have the visibility of, say, John's got all of these entities. Like, how's everything going? Put in your conditional formatting in here. Again, these are just examples to kind of give you an idea of how you may want to represent the data. Here, again, outstanding invoices. You can put whatever parameters you want within here. You can kind of see where you're at with that. This one is very powerful. I love showing this one in the sense that you've got your projects. You can have them all listed. You could also like join them together if they're like, say, for a particular, maybe they're mini projects in a way of, part of a giant build. You can do that as well. So if I got this one hotel, again, it's providing me with all this information. And as I scroll down, you can see these are everything that I'm budgeting for. You've got all your labor details, again, depending on how you set that up. But you could go within here and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking at this hotel. Let's look at the restaurant. How's that doing? Just that quick. And it's just going to populate all that information. You also will have the ability to have WIP. Of course, WIP is always included within here. And you can put in whatever parameters that you do want to put within here. Costs over time, you can have that as well. Again, you could put in different various drop-down menus within there so you can kind of see how things fluctuate. Now, here's where it gets very interesting. You can actually go in and have that project forecast. So if you say just the ones that we just saw just recently, I can easily flip through these. It's going to tell me what that description is. It's going to tell me what's going on, everything that is flowing within that project. So if, say, concrete is going up, lumber's going up, wiring, what have you, you're able to pivot very quickly because you can always do, proper forecasting or what if scenarios to get you there. So that's pretty much it for this one in terms of the actual uh, sample report for construction and projects. This is also available. I am going to include this within the goodie bag as well. So there is a lot. We've covered a lot today. Do appreciate your time. And if you do have any questions, let us know. And thank you very much. Have a great day.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. Have a wonderful day.